All right, so let's get underway. We are going to start lying down with the block under the shoulders. And you can have your legs out straight or in Cobra Action. And as usual, taking as much time as you need to get there. Things need a little squinging out or loosening up. And even as we're getting that physical body settled in, feeling your breath, letting your breath help with that process as well. Inhaling and exhaling. And then as the physical body arrives a little bit more comfortably, bringing more of your attention to your breath. Inhaling and exhaling, adjusting the effort and ease. And maybe that breath can reveal some place that needs a little squinge or a little readjustment there. And letting your breath be a little smoother, a little longer. The inhale helping stretch out those ribs and open the upper chest even more. And if you feel inspired, sending that breath pouring out through the arms, maybe breathing the arms up overhead. You can hold them overhead or anywhere along the way, or maybe moving up and down like big wings there. Inhaling and exhaling. And we'll take a few more breaths here on the block. And then making our way up as gently as possible off the block. And we will sit in Sukhasana with the cross legs. Using the arms alongside, getting a little space between the vertebrae, space in the hip sockets. Maybe there's something that still needs a little squinge. And then finishing up with that, hands resting on the knees. Inhale and exhale, pouring down the sides of the neck off the tops of the shoulders, long through the top of the head. Like you're both lengthening up the wall behind you and resting against the wall behind you. And then we'll reach out wide through the collarbones, through the fingertips. Inhale and exhale, lifting all the way up from the base of the spine, bringing the arms up. Inhale and exhale, reaching wide and down. Let's do that twice more. And then just breathing that right arm up, side bending over to the left. And as we come back up, bringing both arms back up overhead. Pressing down, changing the cross of the legs, or not, if they finally got settled there, maybe. And then we'll side bend to the other side, reaching out through the arms, breathing up through the left arm, up and over. And then coming back up, both arms up overhead again. Big, wide reach down, and let's come forward and over. Inhale into the back of the body and front, lots of space. Exhale, pouring over. Really feeling into your body with every breath. Noticing what's going on today, or maybe what's not going on today. Sometimes things just kind of feel dull. And then we'll come up, unfurling that spine vertebrae by vertebrae, back up on top of the sitting bones. Inhale and exhale. And let's come around down to all fours. Let's see. And doing a couple cats and cows, rounding up. Maybe taking an extra breath or two, feeling through the whole spine. And then lengthening out the front of the body into the cow. And then continuing with that cat and cow on your own timing. You can also do little variations, a little front and back, maybe around to the side. And finishing with that, let's take a short pull back into child's pose, making it a shoulder stretch, a wrist decompress. Inhale and exhale, really reaching the sitting bones for the heels. And then coming back up onto all fours, and we will extend our left leg back with the toes tucked under. Pressing back into that left heel, long and flat against the ceiling. And you can hold here or lighten up on that right leg, or maybe even lifting it up into the hover plank, making that left leg stretch longer. And then setting that right knee down, we'll switch legs. Right leg extends back, pressing back into the heel. And then you just lighten up on the left leg, or maybe lifting it all the way up in the hover plank. Inhale and exhale, long line from the top of the head out that right heel. Pulling the upper arms in a little toward each other, pressing up against the ceiling. Setting that left knee down, retrieve your right. Another very deliberate back into child's pose. And then let everything soften. Bring your arms in a little closer, maybe whatever you need to do to be a little bit more easeful. And then we will come up in downward facing dog. And walking the dog or anything else you want to do here. And then finishing with whatever you're doing, finding the best downward facing dog you can do at this moment. Nothing moving but the breath. Inhaling up to the sitting bones, exhale, pouring down the backs of the legs. And let's look between the hands to jump or step forward. And a concave back halfway up, maybe really halfway up, coming up even a little higher than you might need to really lengthen out the front of the body, to really make the back of the body work there. And then reaching out even more as you come back over into the forward bend. Inhaling and exhaling with a little bend in the knees if needed. And then let's bend the knees and bringing the hands up onto the knees, onto the top of the thighs, sort of a supported Utkatasana. And we'll do a little cat and cow here, round and tuck, and lengthen out. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Let's do that 3 more times. And then pouring over again. Deep breath. And then we will come all the way up to standing, rounding up or extending up into the front body yawn. And we'll take 2 or 3 more breaths in the front body yawn. Letting the front of those hips open, the front of the body lengthen out. And then a big reach around and hands to Namaste in front. Inhale and exhale, Samastiti steadiness. And then coming over, big lift up. And diving over. Concave back halfway up. Holding over. Deep breath here. And coming back up to standing. Big front body yawn. And this time we'll press the arms long down the sides, top of the head up. Circle the shoulders to interlock the fingers behind. Lengthen the chest to lift the chin. And coming forward and over, pressing out through the backs of the hands. And then releasing the hands. And concave back, holding over. A little jump or a step back to the plank. So make sure you let your knees have a nice bend if you're going to jump. And then expanding into the plank, long and flat against the ceiling, pressing back through both heels. And then we will come to the floor. So I'm just going to do the regular vinyasa to the cobra. You can do any other version you want. So kneeling plank maybe. And chaturanga down. And then either a small cobra or an upward facing dog. And then we'll be going back down onto the floor. And then rolling down to the floor. And bringing the arms forward into the Sphinx. Elbows under the shoulders, reaching out through the fingers. Pulling back with the elbows, pulling back with the hands. Wide across the collarbone. And coming down, let's take the hands out across from the shoulders, standing on the pads of the fingers. So that's not the tippy toe fingers, like if you had long fingernails, they would be in the way, but like on that first joint at the end of the finger there. All right, and then with the chin drop, rolling up, and then pulling the elbows wide and out as you come down. And we'll do that 4 times. Inhale and exhale. Or maybe there's 2 breaths in there. Make sure you're lifting with those back and shoulder muscles first, and then pushing with the arms. I think we have 1 more to go. And then we'll pull the hands into the cobra position, squeezing those elbows in and back. And then a small cobra, whatever size cobra you end up with here, really pulling the shoulders down and back. And then we will peel ourselves back up to downward facing dog, maybe with that indulgent cobra along the way, and a couple cat and cow ripples, all our favorite things. And here we are, downward facing dog. Inhale and exhale. Let's lift our right leg up, reaching long through that right heel, reaching down through the left, and through to the lunge. And we'll bring that left knee down in Jayasana. Inhaling up the front, exhale, pouring down. And circling those arms all the way around. And Namaste. And then let's go to the pigeon. Walking that right foot across. The left, right knee a little to the right diagonal, maybe sitting on a block or a blanket. And here we are doing that Cobra Action. You find some lift from the back muscles here, like you're trying to pull up and away from the hands and lighten on your hands. If you feel like you could bring the hands up to Namaste and you want to do that, you could do that. And coming forward and over. Sleeping pigeon. We'll reach out through that left leg, long through the top of the head. Breathing into the back of the body. And then you're going to come up and sitting off to the side and unfurl your legs into Konasana, the angle pose, the straddle. Giving a little lift up from the arms, space between the vertebrae, space in the hip sockets, reaching out through the legs. And then slowly release, standing on those sitting bones on the floor, standing on your legs out there to the side, and we will come forward. Inhale, lots of space, exhale, coming forward. So maybe using the push from the arms behind, hands on the legs, maybe out in front. Stay very active through those legs, reaching through the inner thigh, out the inner heel, pressing the backs of the legs down into the floor. Maybe a little counter of the counterweight of a little bit more outer thigh going toward the floor to counterbalance your torso coming forward. And then we're inhaling and exhaling. And coming up, back up on top of those sitting bones. And let's bend our right leg back in into the half dragonfly. So I'm not the mirror here. And then we'll twist to the right toward the front of the mat. And left hand onto that left leg, and then still feeling the twist to the right as we reach long through our right arm up and over to the left over our straight leg toward the back of the mat. Nice big round breaths. Sometimes it's that breathing that's a challenge in a big side bend. And then coming back up long through the top of the head, and we'll take that left leg and swing it across, turning to the front of your mat into Matsyendrasana. And then we will twist to the left. Inhale, lots of space, exhale and twist. And coming back to the center, we will disentangle the legs, coming up into the forward bend at the front of the mat. You can hold this forward bend, stretching through the legs, or maybe lifting the left leg up into a standing split. So if we're standing split, we're lifting our left leg, so we're standing on our right. And then we'll all take a big step back with our left leg into the lunge. And then continuing, stepping back to the plank, through the vinyasa, downward facing dog. We'll go around on the other side, lifting the left leg up. And through to the lunge. And we'll bring the right knee down and Jayasana. Inhaling up the front, exhale, pouring down the back. And then circling those arms all the way around and back up overhead. And Namaste in front. And into the pigeon on the left. Walking the left foot over to the right. Left knee goes a little diagonal forward. And lifting up. So maybe we're using a lot of lift from our arms and hands, but still trying to feel a pull from the muscles of the back, a lift and support from the muscles on the front of the torso there. Inhaling and exhaling. Coming forward and over. Reaching back through the right leg, reaching long and forward through the top of the head. Inhaling and exhaling. Nice big round breaths. And then coming up and turning to the Konasana, reaching through that right leg. And there we are. Reaching out through those inner heels. Giving yourself a little lift, feeling like the tailbone and pelvis press a little forward as those feet reach a little wider. And then setting yourself onto those sitting bones. Standing there, standing on the feet and coming forward. Inhale, lots of space. Exhale, coming forward into that space. Inhale, making a little more space. Exhale, another little bit forward. And coming up, and we'll bend the left leg, the other leg, the leg toward the front of the mat into the half dragonfly. And then twisting to the left. Inhale and exhale. Anchoring that right sitting bone down, we're still reaching back through the right leg. And right hand onto that right leg, deepen the twist a little. And then side bending up and over, Parvrita Janu Shirasasana. So maybe your side bend is here with the arm more up to the ceiling or even a diagonal. So we want to make space. And yes, part of us wants to put our right ear onto the right leg, but to get there, we need to make space in the body. Let's see if you could take a deep breath here. And then coming up. And we'll take that right leg and bring it around and across the mat. So Andrasana, pivoting back toward the front of the mat. Inhale and exhale. And we'll twist to the right. And coming back to the center. Disentangling the legs to come up onto the feet. into the forward bend with optional turning it into a standing split. So this time we'll be lifting our right leg up, reaching down through the left foot into the floor. If you're in that standing split, can you feel that right leg up there behind you? What's it doing? Where is it? And then a big step back to the lunge. And continuing stepping back to the plank. Through the vinyasa, downward facing dog. Three deep breaths here, downward facing dog. And then coming down, sitting back in child's pose. And then coming up, unfurling the spine, simplified Virasana, sitting on the heels or something else if this isn't working. We won't be here all that long though. Reaching back through the tops of the shins, reaching down through the front of the thighs, out the knees. And then we're going to ascend, coming up onto our knees. So use the hands to help, or maybe your knee joints are all right. You're just lifting up. Arms coming up overhead, long flat line, and then we're going to hinge back. So try not to let the upper chest lift. Don't even lift the head. Keep looking straight forward. We're bringing the arms to parallel in front as we lean back. So try not to do an arch. I'm now doing incorrectly, or not what I mean. Try to stay very flat, looking straight forward. Good. And breathing. 4, 3, 2, and 1. And then coming up, arms up overhead, then a big front body yawn, and we'll take the hands around to the sacrum. Or if you feel like you could do the heels already, into Ustrasana, the camel pose. So now we're trying to do less lean back and hinge backness with the thighs more vertical, and do the arch in the back. And then coming up, long through the top of the head, arms up, and let's descend. Using the hands for support if you need to. Simplified Virasana, deep breath. Sliding forward onto our stomach into the Sphinx. Unfolding the backs of those legs there. And then let's reach the arms behind to interlock the fingers, and we'll Salabhasana. So really try to keep the legs straight as you lift. One good way to tell if the legs are really straight is to deliberately put a little bend in them. You'll probably feel the back of the thighs work a little harder. And then straighten them with those feet frustratingly coming down toward the floor a little more. And slowly release the hands, palms face the ceiling. calming down. And then let's peel ourselves back up to that simplified Virasana. And we'll do that whole hinge and Ustrasana again. Deep breath. Ascending up onto our knees, arms up overhead, long and flat, and then hinging back, staying long and flat, reaching the arms forward, shoulder blades down. Coming back up, big front body yawn, and around to Ustrasana, hands onto the sacrum or maybe the heels. And breathing here. Eyes are trying to be more vertical, more of the going backness is now in the spine. And then coming up, reaching the arms up, pulling those abdominal muscles back to bring you down. And then hands to the floor, a couple micro cats and cows, or maybe coming forward onto all fours if you want to have a little bit more range of motion, a little bit more space there. And then we will expand back up to downward facing dog. And through a vinyasa, any version, maybe 2 or 3 times if you want. And downward facing dog. So we're going to be headed back for Anjayasana, maybe with a waterfall to the wild thing on the way. All right, so let's lift our right leg up. And bending the knee dog at the high fire hydrant. So you can hold here or get to the lunge sooner if you're not going to waterfall. And then maybe we're waterfalling over into the wild. Or the 3-point back. And coming back, lifting that right leg again, through to the lunge. Bring the left knee down. And then let's keep our left hand on the floor, taking a twist to the right. And next option, bending that left leg, getting hold of the ankle or foot and pulling the heel in. Or not, don't endanger your knee. And letting that foot go to the pigeon, walking the right foot across, knee on a diagonal right. Taking a few breaths here in the Cobra Action. Inhaling up the front, exhale, pouring down the back. And then coming forward and over, sleeping pigeon. And coming up, unfurling to Konasana, the angle. Lots of space coming forward. And then let's walk our hands toward the left, toward the back of your mat. And reaching that right sitting bone into the floor, reaching through that right inner thigh, pulling in the opposite direction. And then coming up. And we're going to take that left leg and bend the right leg, bring the left leg across into Gomukhasana this time. So that's which leg? The left leg. You're going to turn to face me. Okay. So the left leg will come across the top. Yeah, right. Because it's coming around like over. There we go. And so Gomukhasana isn't working with that left foot pulling back and down toward the right hip and the knee going down. You can say Andrasana again or using the crossed legs. And inhaling and exhale. And let's do the eagle pose arms. Reaching those arms wide, so we have left leg on top, so left arm will go under. And then a reach up, and then when you can't go anymore, letting those arms untwine and we'll come forward. So if you're in the mat, say Andrasana shape, one option is to come forward a little bit on the right or left diagonal instead of center, or switching to the cross legs. And coming up, and we will disentangle those legs, coming up into the forward bends. So we'll just take 2 or 3 breaths here in the forward bend. And then jumping or stepping back through the vinyasa. Downward facing dog. All right, and then here we go around with the left, lifting the left leg. Dog at the high fire hydrant. So you can hold here, continue to the lunge, or continuing to waterfall to the wild thing. And then coming back, lifting that left leg up and through to the lunge. And then we'll bring the right knee down and we'll keep the right hand down, taking a nice indulgent twist to the left. And maybe bending that right leg, getting hold of the ankle or foot. And then letting go with that right foot and into the pigeon. And taking a few breaths in that Cobra Action with lots of strength in the core. And then coming forward. Sleeping pigeon. And coming up, reaching through the right leg. Into Konasana, the angle pose. And coming forward. And then over to the right leg toward the back of your mat. And reach through that left sitting bone into the floor, reaching through that left foot toward the front of your mat. And exhaling and exhale. And calming up. And bend the knees and taking the right leg across all the way to Gomukasana, or maybe using the Matsyendrasana with the foot on the floor, or it could be the cross-legged Sukhasana. Inhale and exhale. And then reaching out wide through the arms, eagle pose, right arm under. Inhaling and exhaling, breathing between the shoulder blades. And then lengthening up till you can't go anymore. The arms untwine, big reach around and coming forward. Inhale and exhale, breathing into the back of the and coming up. And we'll extend the legs forward, extending forward over the legs. So we're essentially out of time, but we will still keep going for another minute or two, but without rushing, just being very focused and present. Inhale and exhale. And coming down to the floor, roll down. Of course, there at home, you can stay as long as you want in this Shavasana. And then arriving here. Inhale and exhale, letting go. Every breath, letting go a little bit more. And breathing back into your body, into the room, moving the fingers and toes, maybe a little wrist and ankle circling, bending the knees, stretching the arms up overhead, and gently making your way up to sitting, and sitting in any comfortable position with that long and spacious. Taking a few more moments, sitting quietly inside yourself. Namaste. Thank you for coming.